Hi, welcome to Lesson 4. This lesson will focus on fluency, how we assess fluency, and what we do with the data that we get from those assessments. We know that fluency involves three different components: accuracy, automaticity, and prosody. Each of these need to be assessed to let us know where students are at in terms of their fluency. Sometimes in the literature we're starting to see that a fourth component is being talked about, and that includes endurance or stamina as a reader, and that becomes more important as students start to read longer texts. So in assessing these areas of fluency, we need to remember that the reason fluency is important is because it affects comprehension. And so while in this particular lesson we're talking about fluency and the importance of each of those components, we need to remember it's in the larger capacity of we want students to be able to read accurately and automatically so that they can better understand and comprehend what they're reading. In order to assess fluency, we can look at each of the three components separately, although many assessments combine them and look at more than one component at a time. The informal reading inventories that we have already started to look at, which includes the QRI that we will be using in this course, provide assessment data on accuracy and automaticity. Can students read the printed word, and at what rate are they reading? I just want to take a quick moment. Sometimes the discussion comes up here, the question about why is reading rate important? Does it matter if the student reads slowly? Yes, it does, because readers have just so much mental energy to put forward to the task. And so if they are using all of their cognitive mental energy to sound out the word, it's difficult then for them then to be able to comprehend what they're reading. So that's why we do put some emphasis on that reading rate. We don't, of course, want to create robot readers who are more worried about reading as quickly as they can that they're not thinking about what they're reading, but it can be a good indicator about student success in reading. The third component, the prosody component, is more difficult to assess. There are a number of rubrics that have been created, very well done rubrics. There are many activities that we can use with students to advance their fluency. All of them require students to actually do some reading out loud. And there are a bunch of ideas listed there that I'm sure you're all familiar with. But students need to read out loud to become better readers. So however we can find ways for them to read the same text more than once, reading it numerous times so they become familiar with it, so that they can use expression and their prosody can improve. Providing students with opportunities to hear others read is important. That also helps with that fluency piece. But as the pictures on this slide show, students have to be reading to become more fluent. And so once again, your text provides lots of ideas for how we can move students forward with their fluency. And I'm sure that you have many, many ideas that you've used successfully in your classroom. So for this lesson, what you need to do is watch this video, and then there's one more very short video about fluent reading that comes from the Reading Between the Lines show, if you're familiar with that at all. And then there's a chapter 6 to read in the text assessment for reading instruction, and a short article that comes from Reading Rockets. And then what you need to do, your assignment or assessment for this particular unit, is to give a fluency assessment to either your elementary or your secondary student, whichever is more convenient or whichever one you'd like to do this with. And you are welcome to use any of the assessments in the QRI 6 text. In this case, you can start using that here, and you can also use those sort of as in your final QRI project, because there are some very good fluency assessments in there. If there are other fluency assessments that you are familiar with, if you're familiar with giving the dibbles and you want to use that here, by all means do that. but you just need to administer at least one fluency assessment to at least one of your students. So good luck. Let me know if you have questions, and we'll see you soon.